Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Fan Behavior and F1 Podcast. Zoe back with Hannah.
What's up?
What a crazy, not just race, but race week in general.
Chaos in Canada, as predicted.
Chaos in Canada. I feel like anytime, I guess there are some races that are not that interesting, but yeah, I feel like whenever you can, I was thinking there was a chance that we should have gone with miracles again because there maybe would have been. I was thinking of any race there could be a surprise winner, a race with rain and stuff.
Sure,
you might get that. Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But
I do also want to say that I know I'm cutting way ahead, but since we're talking about it, during his post-race interview, Lando in fact said it was chaotic, so he listens to the podcast. Yeah. And then Crofty said magnificence in Montreal.
There's some other, I guess, we got some messages from some other commentators like on the F1 TV broadcast who were using some alliteration.
And look, I got I'm on Williams's mailing list, which I think I signed up for like a raffle sweepstakes something, and I haven't unsubscribed. And I recognize that alliteration is a very popular marketing tool.
Totally.
But I've also decided that they listen to the podcast.
I mean, any chance we can get to say that people
listen.
At
least just put an asterisk next to it and put our name at the bottom, credit where credit's due, please.
Just like we give credit to Daniel for the enchante. Of course. Of course.
We have to.
Yeah. It's not like we just came up with that on our own.
Yeah, right. It never would have been the tagline otherwise.
Never would have.
So
exactly. Okay, but there's so much to get into before we even get to the race itself.
True.
Let's start with all the off-track stuff that transpired pre-weekend. So the first being, it was announced that Esteban is not re-signing with Alpine.
Shook.
Biggest shock of the paddock. A little bit surprising. Well, it's not surprising, but it's one of those unspoken things where I feel like if a driver and team decide to not continue, they typically try to wait for when the driver has found a new home to announce that he's going to somewhere else. So that way it doesn't feel so, because when they do it like this, it tells you without telling you it's a one-sided decision.
Right.
Thoughts?
I'm not surprised it happened. I find the timing interesting. And I also just feel, I guess, look, it's all probably strategic in a lot of ways. If you know that that's what's going to happen for both parties, you want drivers to know you have a seat open, and you want to give the courtesy of the teams knowing that Esteban is available. I don't know courtesy, but
exactly.
The driver is available. And just for not dragging it out for Esteban's sake too, so he can start figuring out his next move. I do think it's a bummer anytime it happens leading up to a race weekend, because it becomes the only conversation. And it's it's like you're trying to keep your head in the game, because now you don't have a job and your resume continues, but you're in your head and having to ask questions solely focus on the fact that you've been fired.
Right. And I did watch Esteban during media day. I watched one of his interview clips, and they asked him about this decision, and just the way it was a classic, the way that he was trying to answer the question was trying to make it seem like it was totally a mutual decision.
Right.
And maybe it was a mutual decision.
I think the way it was handled probably wasn't mutual, timing and stuff, but I imagine
I do think Esteban wants to leave.
Yeah.
But it just kind of the way that he was trying to work around it, this is totally both sides. We agreed on this, blah, 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 blah. We'll get back to Alpine because they had some...
Yeah, I haven't even heard the
race drama I saw on Twitter right before we recorded. I should also just say, too, I feel like this is always a good thing to point out. We're recording maybe, 25 minutes after the race ended. So should there be anything that transpires, context, information,
We'll have to talk about it later.
I'll try to keep up. I do always try as we record to refresh Twitter just in case there's any sort of breaking news. But I want to put that out there. Okay, so then we get word that Checo has re-signed with Red Bull for 2 years. Now, a lot of feelings, because Checo is one of the most popular drivers on the grid.
Yes.
It is safe to say, I bet you if you did a global poll of driver popularity, he's got to be in the top 5.
For sure.
I would imagine. And I mean, when we go to races, now obviously the ones that we've been to have been in the States.
Yeah.
But huge Checo fan base
Yeah.
at these races. So from a marketing perspective, it makes sense. Like
Yeah.
the man sells Red Bulls,
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was announced as a 2-year deal. But then Christian, I think this weekend kind of slipped up and let it out that it's a 1+1.
Oh, I thought they were saying that about Yuki's.
No,
It is Checo's.
It's Checo's. And
That makes way more sense.
yeah, so it's a 2-year deal in quotations.
Not really.
But it's a 1+1.
Yeah.
So, which I think is what people thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it makes way more sense.
It was a little bit shocking when they said 2 years. I thought, ooh, that seems a little bit.
Big commitment.
Yeah. So I want to reiterate that. Obviously, Checo is not a bad driver.
Correct.
I do not think Checo is a bad driver, and I am not saying that I think Checo should be off the grid, shouldn't be racing in Formula One. I don't believe that. I think Checo is a better driver than a good majority of the grid, and there's drivers on the grid who we know shouldn't be there anymore. But I just don't understand this.
It feels like a safety net. I think that I genuinely believe, like, even though publicly there's not much chatter about Red Bull and the Christian Horner situation, I have to imagine that internally there's heads are still on a swivel and like there's stuff going on. And I think drivers are tense about. Now, I think what's weird is that you have other drivers you could be picking from, but I'm just big Red Bull strategy. Their drivers outside of the organization are probably wary about what's going on. And also, you have proven track record that from a team perspective, Checo works with who Max is. And so I get it. But again, it also is, as you were kind of pointing out, in like, complete contradiction to what Red Bull stands for. So it feels confusing. The 1+1 makes way more sense.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, like, we could all argue, and I think we have before, that like, why wouldn't you give Yuki the shot at the seat? I am worried to see like what's going to happen with Liam, just for Liam's sake. But I don't think I would have wanted Liam to have that seat, just because we've seen what that seat does to new kids.
Exactly. I mean, and we've said this too on here. I think Yuki was the most obvious choice to replace him. It obviously wasn't going to be Daniel. It wasn't going to be Liam. Carlos was in the mix, but we know that Carlos and Max's dads do not get along very well. And so I think there was fear about back when they were in, what was it called? Before AlphaTauri? Toro Rosso.
Oh, yeah. Red Bull in Italian.
Yes, exactly. They did not get on very well. And so I think there was fear of, we already have this underlying tension, power struggle. We can't then add another power struggle on top of it all.
Right.
I understand, but
they should really take a page out of Checo and Lewis's dads, but they won't.
Yeah, exactly.
Both.
Get them on
Max's
a
dad
team.
won't.
It'll be peace and harmony.
Yeah.
Or Lewis and Lando, I guess
sure.
Lewis's dad's the common denominator in all this. But I do think it's going to cost Red Bull at the end of the day. And maybe not so much this year.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe not this year.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's
It's
still
just the story
a lot,
right now.
There's
It's
still
not
a lot
good.
of season. I mean, we're not even halfway through the season,
Totally.
right? So there's still so much left to be told. And I know recency bias is a thing, and we only we think about the last handful of we're so quick to
and you talk about this
change
a lot,
the opinion
of like, oh, he's been doing bad for a few races, so we've just decided he sucks.
Yes.
And we all do that.
And then someone has a great race, and then we're like, oh my gosh, he's
no
amazing
wonder they
again.
re-signed him. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are quick to make those opinions, but I do think even if you go through last year with Checo, a lot of people brought up, well, Checo finished P2 in the standings last year.
Mm-hmm.
That car was extremely dominant. It won whatever it was, 21 out of 22 races. Like Checo,
Yeah.
of course he finished P2. I think anyone would have finished P2 in the standings. Maybe not anybody, but
I wouldn't have.
Well, and I think like there's definitely some that wouldn't have, but
Sure.
I don't think that's like the best argument to use.
Agreed.
And anyway, we'll get back to Checo as we continue through the weekend, but I'm not surprised it happened. It makes me bummed for Yuki because and we'll get to him too, but he's basically held hostage.
Yeah.
And I'll just be curious to see what ends up happening there. Like I'm curious to see how this unfolds with Checo, as his performance has not been that great as of recently, and what that does to the constructors. And just see how this kind of like, is Red Bull trying to be too safe? What's going to end up costing them ultimately? We'll have to wait and see. Then we got some announcements about the 2026 regulation changes.
Yes, we did.
Now, a lot of people have asked, I shouldn't say a lot, a handful of people have asked for us to like break down these reg changes and like what this all means. I will read what is potentially going to happen. But I will say there's a lot of other people out there who are a lot more
I need someone to break it down for me.
Smart, equipped to handle all of this. So you guys don't come to us for our engineering breakdown, and this is not one of these, situations where we're going to give you
we'll do our best
insight,
answer questions, but
basically this is kind of what's going to be happening in 2026. So they're going to be lighter cars, so not as heavy. They're also going to be shorter and narrower. No more DRS, which is crazy, and they're going to implement the push to pass system that IndyCar has, or something similar to push to pass. So that's a big change.
That is big.
Increased top speeds due to reduced drag, active aerodynamics, and 100% sustainable fuel. It's funny, actually, a lot of people on Twitter were like tweeting to Daniel, being like, Daniel, you need to hang on until 2026 because these like characteristics of a car like are so for you and like what you're good at, which is just, they're like, hang on, like stay in line until the end.
Don't crash.
So anyway, so that will be interesting. This has to get approved. There's still more like steps that have to be taken in order for all this to like 100% go through. But I think there's been a lot of people that don't like this generation of cars that we're in right now. They're too heavy, they're too big, they're too bulky.
Because the smaller cars will be fun for like Monaco. Like
they'll be a little bit better.
Yeah,
exactly. And hopefully generate better racing, easier passing just on any track in general. Because even on just a general track, it's still fairly difficult to pass. And so anyway, I think that will be interesting to see how that goes on. And we're not your engineering girls, but
God no.
But there's lots of others who have so much knowledge. Okay, then the other thing I wanted to talk about, I'm trying to go kind of in order, was did you keep up with the Jacques Villeneuve, Daniel Ricciardo?
All I know is I hope his pillow is always warm. Like, it was funny because I think it was in the fan amp chat, someone was talking about it, and I was like, I don't know. Well, they were using his like the initials JV. And at first I thought they meant James Vowles, and I was like, James would never say something so abhorrent on TV or like publicly.
Yeah, I don't think he'd ever.
If ever. And so then I Googled it, and I was like, this guy has a lot of nerve. Like, I don't know. Does he hate Daniel?
Well,
Has he always hated Daniel?
He's always kind of said things over the years about him. Why is he smiling so much? Those types of comments.
Who hurt you, sir?
He's made some comments. So this is, in case you missed it, so Jacques Villeneuve, former Formula One driver, Canadian Formula One driver, was on the Sky Sports coverage for like the practice. And I think he was, I don't know if he was on the actual broadcast during the qualifying. I don't think he was. I can't really remember, but he was
I didn't
in the
see
Sky
him.
Sports,
crew. I think it was practice.
So this is what he said following practice about Daniel. Why is he still in F1? You all talk about those first two seasons. He was beating a Vettel that was burnt out and trying to invent things. Then he was beating for half a season an 18-year-old Verstappen. He stopped beating anyone after that. I think his image has kept him in F1 more than his actual results. Now, I have some critiques of what he said here. Well, I want to first say, I don't hate a hot take by somebody. And I think part of it is us being American. And I guess more so from my perspective as someone who has grown up so entrenched in American sports culture, Sports Center, all these broadcasts where journalists and pundits are spewing hot takes left and right. I'm very used to hearing people on TV talk about athletes that I like in a disparaging way, or saying things that I'm like, I do not agree with this. I'm very used to that. And I feel like, and that's just American culture in general. Like, we all have an opinion and we all want to share our opinion. And every broadcast, whatever you're watching, is always biased. So I think part of it is I'm just used to people having an opinion. I also don't think he's entirely wrong about parts of it. But I do want to say, Sebastian Vettel had just won in 2013. he won a world championship.
Correct.
And then the very next year, Daniel beats him. Like, you can say he was testing things out, trying things, maybe not as comfortable
Burnt
or
out.
whatever. But
it's Sebastian Vettel.
he had just won a world championship, and then he moves on to Ferrari and has however many more years, 6 more years. I can't even remember when he retired. Even more than that, probably. Years in Formula One. Mm-hmm. You can make that argument about like the Aston Martin Vettel years, but I don't know that you can make that argument. Then you have Max coming in, and Daniel's really the only F1 or the only teammate of Max that's ever pushed him, that's ever challenged him, that's ever contended with him. You could say it's because of his age,
but it doesn't matter. Facts are facts.
But it's just the reality.
Yeah.
And then to say he didn't beat anyone after that is actually factually incorrect, because he then beat Nico Hülkenberg, who everyone's praising and loving right now, and Esteban Ocon. So like, it's just not those things are just not true. Now, of course, the McLaren era was bad, but he still managed to win a race during that time, you know? And so it's just, it was
Zach even has a tattoo to prove it.
Exactly. So
it's hateful.
But I go about back and forth. I have no problem, whatever. It doesn't like, as a Daniel fan, I didn't see this and think like, oh my God, I didn't get worked up over it.
But it's not the commentary. Dumb. It's the delivery of the commentary. Like, he has an axe to grind. Yeah. And that's, I think, where I get annoyed.
Yeah.
It's not that, like, yes, you had some factually incorrect information, but you're also on live television and whatever. I've never done that before, and I don't envy that position.
Yeah.
But also, you're just being nasty. Like, you could have said all of those same things in 100 different ways. And if you're saying, why is he smiling all the time? Then you just hate joy, and I don't know how to help you.
Right. Well, it's also just like, that's just his personality.
Right. Because he's a person that smiles. That's why he's smiling all the time. Why are you mad about that?
Like, I mean, it's like, well, he can't really change these things about him. I don't think he...
Yeah,
you know what
why
I mean?
are you always upset? You know, it's the same question.
So anyway, it became, and then in the same kind of commentary, or I think it was during practice, he was criticizing, because Daniel had a special helmet for this race with syrup, which I thought was actually a very cool helmet.
I thought so too.
And he was like criticizing these special helmets, and that they're stupid, and why do people have? And he was the one who criticized Charles, I think last year, for a special helmet that he had. I can't even remember what it was exactly, but it was just like very...
Does he feel like
maybe it's too showy?
Does he feel like his sport has been like infiltrated?
Well, and so that's what that is what I can't remember who was on the broadcast with him. This weekend's been there's been a lot happening, but they were basically like, well, you know, the sport has changed a lot, and like social media has become such a big thing, and you know, basically saying like, this is just how it, exactly.
Yeah, it's just how it is now. And so be mad at that.
Yeah.
Like, why? Because I don't know. I mean, we've also commentated on special liveries or special helmets that were like, what have you done? Like, that part's fine
on it.
Yeah, but this like anger somewhere, I hope he talks to someone about that. It's a heavy burden to walk around with stuff like that in your heart.
Right.
And spewing it on television isn't going to make it go away.
Yeah. And we'll get back to Daniel's response to all of it and kind of how that all transpired over the course of the weekend. Did you also see, just speaking of Red Bull, kind of, Red Bull's soapbox video?
No.
So, Max and Checo went against Daniel and Yuki in like this soapbox
challenge.
I
did see the cars. I just haven't seen the race.
It was pretty funny. And there's this one part. So basically for like the qualifying round,
I think that they're like on a ramp and they just
they like push them off, and then they have to kind of, and
seems dangerous.
They had like qualifying laps, and then they did like a race head-to-head thing. But so Max would give Checo like a push down the hill, and whatever, they would push each other down to give them speed. And there's this one part where Daniel's getting ready to push Yuki, and he literally speaks to him like he's 5. He goes, "Are you ready, buddy?" And Yuki goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Do you want to push?" I just see if I can find it, but I was like, he's genuinely talking to him like he's a child.
Yeah.
Yuki also couldn't reach the brakes, so
in a soapbox car,
I guess he was kind of, and of course he was the worst one because he's the lightest. Because it's all about the weight. You know, if you have the weight, you're going to go faster. And so, unfortunately, he should have put some rocks in his pants or something. Yeah, giving himself a bit of a boost. But it was a funny, and I always love the Red Bull battle video stuff. I always
Yeah,
think they're
the
funny.
unserious. Is that they still call it that?
Well, I don't know if that's what that was called exactly, but probably. But I just thought it was funny. Okay, then we had Carlos. Well, more rumors about Carlos going to Williams, and James basically saying like
he's our guy.
Carlos is the guy we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meaning Logan's leaving, which it didn't occur to me because I was like, oh, of course it is, like blah, blah. And then I had this epiphany while I was getting ready that I was like, oh my God, James has basically publicly said that they're looking to replace Logan, which obviously, but harsh.
You know, I want Logan to get himself in like IndyCar.
Me too.
And I'll have a great time watching Logan in IndyCar.
It's also easy to be America's hero when there's like a lot of Americans in the sport. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like there's too much pressure. On him being the American.
It is a bummer. It's a bummer because I think he put a lot of effort. Unlike a lot of Americans, he came over to Europe. He raced in F2. Sure. He's trying, he went the path of the Formula One path.
And maybe he can come back sometime. I said maybe.
So anyway, I'll be curious to see
people have done it before.
People have done it before. Yeah.
People.
Yes, people. But Carlos to Williams would be very interesting.
I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah, I think I'm excited.
I don't know how his ego will stand up to it.
I'm excited to if this ends up happening. For Alex, again, we said this before. Alex has never really been pushed by his teammate ever, and I mean, in the Williams, obviously he was pushed by Max a lot.
Yeah, pushed down very hard. Mentally and emotionally.
But for him to have a teammate who is a really good driver, I'll be
more
curious,
of a peer.
More of a peer, and how will that push them and affect them, and also just Williams as a whole. Like, they have been at the back of the grid, but they could really make some moves.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next one I want to talk about, which is sort of out of, well, I guess it is in order, is Yuki getting re-signed by VCARB and the announcement coming literally 30 minutes before qualifying.
I know.
So bizarre. The announcement's not bizarre, like totally deserved, and also kind of like, I don't know. I was happy for him, but also kind of like,
I know. Like, I felt the same way. I'm really glad that they decided to keep him, but I was kind of, part of me wondered like if he didn't have other options.
Well, so this is what I've seen some theories, because the whole thing is, why was this announced 30 minutes before qualifying? It is the story. They knew this. It was basically like they buried the story.
Right.
And why not wait till Monday when the race weekend's over to announce him? Why do it right now? And the theory is, so earlier this week when Checo was announced at Red Bull, there were some articles that came out about how Yuki was getting interest from Audi and from Alpine, but Red Bull has the option on Yuki's contract, and so the theory is that Red Bull decided to take up the option so that if a team wants Yuki, they have to buy him out of the contract.
Gross.
So
I
wonder if something was happening behind the scenes that required them to announce it so quickly. I don't really know. There's just a part of me in the back of my mind that wonders, is Yuki really going to stay at RB? Know. Like, I just feel like
his announcement video looked like a hostage. It looked like Daniel leaving McLaren or whatever that video was that he did, where he looked like he was being like, hey, read this cue card.
This. I don't know. It just felt strange. It felt like there was no.
Well, it kind of crushed the hopes and dreams of Pierre and Yuki reuniting.
I know.
But maybe not.
Maybe not. Or maybe it'll
Bruno
be Yuki and Nico. It'd be quite interesting.
I don't like that as much.
Not really very fun for content purposes.
No.
Sorry, Nico. It's your fault. It is your fault.
That is true. Plus, Yuki has too much swag.
For Nico, you think?
Yeah. The outfits aren't outfitting. Although Yuki might be able to give him some pointers.
That's so true. I feel like Nico's the kind of person, though, that would very much sort of like, oh, Yuki, like kind of talk down to him. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I don't know what's going on there. It just was a little bit, it was just a little interesting to me. And like this thing, the same thing happened with Pierre. What was that? 2022. He had re-signed with AlphaTauri for like the next year, and then Alpine bought him out of his contract and he went to Alpine instead. So I'm just throwing that out there as like a potential, maybe there's still.
It's also interesting that Alpine's the one who did it the last time too. Like Alpine would be poaching from Red Bull again.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe they just wanted to announce it just to announce it, and I don't know. But it now leaves one seat for either Daniel or Liam.
Yeah, that one I need them to close that one up pretty soon.
And so we got to wait and see how that's going to transpire.
You don't think Daniel would go to a different team, do you?
No.
I don't either, but
no, I think
that would be probably the most shocking for me if that's what
I think it's either he gets re-signed or
he goes home.
Hasta la vista. He goes home.
He hosts with
Jacques.
No.
Oh, yeah.
They'll start their own show.
They can fight. Well, maybe Daniel had something to say about all of this in qualifying. So
what makes you say that?
We get to quali, and Checo is out again in Q1. It is crazy to me that he got out. I mean, second week in a row out in Q1, third week in a row out qualified by both RBs, which is crazy.
Yeah. Makes me happy for the RBs though.
I know it does make me happy for them, but it's just the worst time to have a bad qualifying session. You just get announced.
Yeah, but
I guess maybe it's
got nothing to lose
That's
now.
True.
Maybe if they were still on the fence. But
I was just shocked. Who else was in the bottom five?
So it was Checo, Bottas, Ocon, Hulk, and Joe.
Okay, so Ocon basically said, "Who gives a F?" Because I have a 5-place grid penalty anyway.
Correct.
And Logan got out of Q1.
Yes, he did.
Congratulations to him.
Didn't matter much in the end, but it was very exciting. It's good for the morale.
Yeah.
And then Sweet Joe. I mean,
I know he's out for sure. Unless the money plays a part.
Which is fine because I like him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Like, this is when our biased perspective.
He's a non-riot hearse. He is a
so unproblematic
paid driver.
Yeah.
So it's like, sure.
Totally unproblematic. That doesn't cause problems. Doesn't. I mean, I wouldn't keep him in at the expense of a Liam 100% or someone else like that.
No, I don't ever want a paid driver to keep the place of someone like who has more talent. But the reality is, it's going to happen. Joe. And if we have to pick, I pick Joe.
Yeah.
Not that I get to pick.
Not that you get to pick, unfortunately. If we got to pick, then this grid would be all shaken up. It'd be so much fun going on.
Mm-hmm.
Q2, both Ferraris out in Q2.
Holy moly.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it was. Ollie Bierman's face was perfect.
I know. Sweet Ollie. Apparently, rumor on the street is he is just, mere days away from being announced as one of the Haas drivers for next year.
You think he's taking Kevin's seat?
Yeah, Nico's seat's still free.
Yeah. But we're filling Kevin's.
Fill Kevin's first. I'm happy for him, and he totally deserves it. And I think that will be. I feel like we're in need for some fresh blood. But the Ferraris being out was crazy. They set their times on used tires. They didn't even try to go on hard or a new set of soft tires in Q2. I think thinking that they would just get through.
Yeah. Jokes on them.
And they didn't. That was crazy.
They did not. And then Charles just being like, I won't talk about it here.
Yeah. He's much more, he PR-ified, At least he didn't say it was a joke.
True. Although it was.
That's like my favorite. Like, I'm going to use that when like I mess up, like I screw up on something or do something wrong. I feel like this is a joke.
Yeah.
Like,
can you, what the hell? Oh, it was your fault. No.
Can you guys believe this? This is a freaking joke. Okay. So I don't really know where we want to hit first. Do we want to do pole position or Daniel?
Let's go Daniel.
Yeah, because that's less important. So yeah, Daniel P5.
Very exciting.
Very impressive.
Take that, Jacques.
Very impressive. Again, the highest qualifying position. He's had both of the highest qualifying positions this season. And it's funny, actually, a few weeks ago, I was DMing with my new internet friend, Meredith.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you're internet friends.
Yes. And she was saying to me, she was like, I think that Daniel has like the higher ceiling, but Yuki is the more consistent one. But like,
fair.
When it comes together, like Daniel could reach higher heights, but he just doesn't do it as consistently. And I think that's very
profound.
Very true. Yeah. Like with the Miami performance and the sprint and everything. Yeah. And then this, it's like, when it works, it really works for him.
Yeah.
He just has to make sure to do it
He
more
also
often.
is the guy who seems to perform when someone publicly shames him.
Yeah.
So maybe
He's
it was
got that
all
F-you attitude.
Yeah.
And then I should just say he was asked about the comments after qualifying. And there was one where he told someone, he was saying like, I just heard about, I can't remember the exact quote. It was to Sky Sports. And he was like, I just heard that he said that and the mic cut, but you could see his mouth say, eat shit. and then he said, I guess to somebody else, he said, I heard he's been talking shit, but he always does. I think he's hit his head a few times. I don't know if he plays ice hockey or something. I won't give him the time of day. All those people can suck it.
Honestly, retweet.
Yeah, which, happy for him. It was just the perfect kind of answer back of like, you're going to say this about me? Okay.
Eat shit.
I'm going to qualify P5
and
have a nice
send
time.
it
And he was less than 2/10 away from pole. Like it was actually it wasn't like P5, but it's a weird qualifying and actually you're like, 5/10 away. He was actually pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay. So pole position, George Russell
so happy
gets
for him.
it before Max, same identical time.
That's crazy. I've never seen that happen, but I know it's happened before, but I don't think I have seen it before.
I've seen it I don't know if I've seen it for pole, but I've seen it for other qualifying situations where, two people get the same time. He hits the T pose, which was just...
He's an icon.
Iconic. Like he just is such a meme lord.
Yeah, he really is. He's really owned it. And we just appreciate when people lean in.
Yes. I watched with my parents and, you guys listen to the pod, my dad loves George. And so he was really super psyched. And he had said prior, I said, who do you want pole? He said, George. And we all laughed.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually didn't laugh because in practice and stuff, it seemed like the Mercedes was actually pretty fast. So I thought there's a potential. And also we thought maybe there'd be rain.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, anything is possible here. There didn't end up being rain really, but he did it. George got pole. So
it was very exciting.
It was fun. And I just think like the season so far has been really nice. Obviously we've had these different winners, but then having George on pole, like having some,
it just feels refreshing.
Just some variance here and there. Obviously Max has been the most consistent, but that has been.
And I will say Max seems more joyful.
He does.
He really, because it's like he's
seems more
doing
relaxed.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else from qualifying you wanted to touch on?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay. Let's get to the race.
Okay.
Because there's a lot to cover from that as well.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God, sorry guys. I threw my back out today doing nothing. So if you see me wincing on the video, my apologies. It's hard to get comfy.
Do you want a pillow?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't really help.
Okay. So it was raining at the start.
Yes.
And both of everyone starts on inters except for both of the Haas's who start on wet tires.
Yeah.
Now, in a way was very smart.
Yes. And then it wasn't.
Didn't end up really paying off for them in the end. It made me wonder if one of the front runners should have started off on wets because they could have just completely gone
Sailed.
so far away to the point where then when the pit stops came around,
there was enough
they would have really benefited from that. So I feel like they tried it. I mean, they were definitely passing people left and right. And it was crazy how, people were just like, completely sliding around.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But yeah, that start was giving me a lot of anxiety.
I was surprised that nothing really happened.
I know. Well, actually, there was that incident between, was it Pierre and Checo?
Yeah, but it wasn't significant enough at the time. Like it wasn't like what Checo did later.
Yeah, that's true. So then the next kind of piece of information was that Daniel got a both of the RBs have had this start problem this whole season where like Yuki and Daniel, pretty much every race, like, I don't know, obviously not an engineer here, but like there's some issue with the car where like when they basically go to start, they just don't have quite the like whatever it is that they need to be in a good spot. And so they both have like routinely lost positions at the start, and they both lost. Like I think Daniel went from P5 to like P8 and Yuki went from P8 to like P11 or something. They both like lost a bunch of spots for whatever reason. And then Daniel gets hit with this penalty for a false start. Now, when you watch the
doesn't look like
replay, it doesn't look like him at all. Now, back to our trusty friend Meredith, who always has the radio and the receipts. So Daniel was told about this penalty, and he was said on the radio, he was like, check that because I did not have a false start. Like I didn't do that. And then he was told later, he said his engineer said the penalty has nothing to do with you, Daniel. No mistake on your side. It was an issue with the car. So something I don't know what it was, but something triggered a false start. I'm not exactly sure because it didn't look like he'd gotten any sort of advantage.
No.
Well, clearly he fell back like 3 places, which sucks because he falls back. He doesn't even get the advantage, quote unquote, advantage of a false start. And then he gets a penalty for nothing that has to do with his car.
Perfect. But yeah, it was just funny when they showed the replay and Martin and Crofty were like, here it goes. And they were both like, well, I don't know. I think that might be wrong. And Daniel had already served his time penalty at that point, I think.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, well.
Just a bummer for him because it's like, you lose that. And then anyway, so then the rain starts to lighten up a bit, but they all have to basically, there's the safety car.
Yes.
Logan goes off.
God
bless. Let's just pour one out for Logan Sargent. Tough times. Now, a lot of people ended up pitting. Some were smart and stayed out. Like I think Yuki stayed out, Esteban, which ended up being smart because they thought the inters were going to fall off and that they would need to change them. But it turned out they didn't really have to change them.
Right.
And so like Yuki benefited from that. Some others benefited. Anyway, then there was this fight between Max, Lando, and George for the front, which was fun that there was like some trading off there.
Well, it was just fun watching like Lando overtake both of the. It's just like anytime Max gets overtaken, it's just fun. It's not a typical scenario.
Exactly. Charles Leclerc, right from the start, has a problem. Now, you know what? I really had typically I'd be like, oh, Charles, but I felt
no. He won in Monaco. We're good.
Yeah, we are just sailing away. It's fine, not a big deal. So I didn't feel particularly peeved by that. And then he was like, then he went back out on like soft tires, and he was like down like a full lap because he was like, it was just all a mess.
Well, and then when he was just like parked in the pit lane, I just thought for sure that he was retiring the car. And then when he was like, let's go, I was like, why? For what reason do you want to put yourself back in this situation?
Yeah, I was like, just give it up, bro.
Yeah. So I just got to restart the computer real quick. It's like, just stay there.
Yeah. So then he ended up retiring, which was probably for the best.
Yeah. Probably a few laps too late.
Yeah, exactly. Then there was the Checo thing came first. So Checo just kind of loses the rear and just hits the wall.
It's always funny when you see the aftermath before you see the actual accident.
Oh yeah, because you saw the wing.
I saw was this wing's just smashed, and Crofty's like, yeah, it's a bit tougher to fix the rear wing. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, it's demolished.
Yeah, and then you see that he rammed into the wall thing, which again, just a tough
bummer.
Which is a tough weekend for Mr. Checo. And
I was really stressed when he was driving, though. I thought that thing was going to fly off.
I know. And then, like, very quickly after that, Alex and Carlos crashed, which was unfortunate for Alex because
it was Carlos's fault.
Carlos kind of spins and then, like, kind of runs, like, kind of gets into Alex's space. And then if you see right behind, like, Daniel immediately has to go. I mean, there was a couple, cars who just narrowly avoided.
Yeah.
That was kind of crazy.
And it was just a bummer because it was like, not that it was intentional or what, like Carlos couldn't have changed what happened, but it was just a bummer because at first when it happened, I thought Alex was off and that's why Carlos got into the grass, but it was really Carlos was off and that's why Alex went into the wall.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The wall.
So that was a bummer.
They both retired, so I felt like it was fair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was fair.
It was because it was Carlos's fault, and then he had to retire too.
But it wasn't fair for Alex.
No, I'm just saying if he had
to retire, least Carlos had to retire.
I'm glad the person who,
for sure,
caused is such a hard thing in this sport, but
right, exactly. So then that was just kind of causing a bunch of chaos on the track. Then it was, I think, a battle for. I think at this point, Esteban was in 8th. Yuki is in 9th and Daniel's in 10th. Mm-hmm. Now, I think Yuki was having some brake issues.
Yes.
And I think Daniel was like, I think at first he was staying behind and then he was told he could fight Yuki.
Yes.
And
he said, let's go.
He said,
let's go, girls.
Sure. But I was really wanting Daniel and Yuki to pass Esteban because behind Daniel was Pierre, and I wanted an Esteban Pierre. I wanted Alpine battle on track because that was going to get spicy. But then Yuki just had to go and slide through the grass.
Yeah,
that was scary. Actually,
it was scary,
and he
because there was like a lot of
debris.
Well, and didn't the Haas almost run into him?
Yeah, that was amazing.
Really stressful.
Yeah, reflexes were on point. I'm so mad. Where's the Yuki radio? Why didn't we get anything?
I don't know.
Even just if you give us beep,
because
he's just cursing or something.
Yeah. Maybe he was scared, so he didn't say anything.
I know. Come on.
I know. We should probably
get Yuki's radio.
Yeah,
we probably should. Yeah,
because they exist. It's just
they do. We
just
don't
put them on our broadcast.
We just don't want to pay for it. Yeah. That's a good point. We definitely should do
I
that.
actually think someone gave me their login.
Oh,
so
nice. But then Daniel does pass Esteban. So then we do have Esteban in P9 and Gasly in P10. Yeah. And I did happen
I thought you were calling Pierre P9, and I was like, what?
No, Esteban in P9, Pierre in P10. And then, but I saw at the end, or by the end, Pierre happened to be in P9. Esteban was in P10. I thought, interesting. Well, apparently there were orders to switch spots. And Alpine gave Ocon team orders to let Gasly by. And this is Esteban's post-race radio. Amazing. This is all said sarcastically, of course. No comment. I've done what I had to do, which is the most important, but you guys didn't do what you had to do. And then Esteban said, thanks for supporting me. The tea.
Scolding.
I'm mad we didn't see that on. That's all I really wanted was to see the Alpine on Alpine drama, but
yeah,
we didn't get to see that.
Why?
I don't know. It's annoying. Like, we live for these moments. I was worried we were going to get, when it was Daniel and Yuki, I was worried we were going to get some sort of
anger.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we got, Yuki took care of that by
right by flying into the grass,
flying away.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was the final points. Final spots for the points. And then the Lewis and George battle for the final podium spot. It was me and my mom versus my dad on the couch fighting for P3. And George got it. Now, slightly disappointing for George, I think.
Yeah. I think he almost cried.
I think, obviously it's their first podium of the season, so that's positive.
Yeah, and they both looked great. I mean, it's such a huge improvement from where they've been.
Yeah. But also kind of a bummer that they didn't get more from it, but I don't know. There wasn't a lot that I would say like, oh, they should have done this better, or oh, he made this big mistake or something that caused him to finish P3. I thought he did a good job.
Did you think that Toto sounded really scary on the radio?
Yeah, what did he say?
George,
oh yeah, focus.
I was like, okay, Darth Vader.
Yeah, I just think
there was something else he said. Was he the one who came on and said you're allowed to race but keep it clean, or was that someone else? There was something else he came on and said, and I was like, Toto, you sound a little spooky.
You're allowed to race but keep it clean. What was that? Not RB? No, I think said you could fight Yuki.
I think that was Merc.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I mean, I always like when teams let people fight.
Me too.
People fight. Unless it's like a very specific situation, or it's like
from a points perspective,
or like a win, like if someone's in P1 and you're P2, like maybe don't fight. But like otherwise, I feel like
totally
I would rather that than team orders. I don't know. Team orders are necessary at sometimes too, because
I know. I feel like it's just situation specific.
It is very situation specific. Anything else from the race before we get into some of the questions?
No, I'm just grateful that it was fun to watch.
It was really fun to watch, and like the pit stops and the rain and the strategy calls.
Yeah,
and
I almost like I love a wet race, obviously, but I almost like when it's like rains and then it stops and then it rains again, because there's more pit stop. Yeah, it's just it's more strategy,
and it's like when do you get off of the inters and when do you get onto the slicks, or vice versa.
I feel like they always rely more on safety cars, but we had two, but maybe they would have. Didn't we have two?
Yeah, we did have two. You're right.
Yeah, but it's like maybe we'll never have one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's fun.
It is fun. So thank you, Canada, for giving us a little spice, especially after the Monaco snooze fest we had.
Also, shout out to Lance for he's going to be an uncle.
He is going to be an uncle. And Lance also finished P7. He benefited from the Daniel penalty. I think otherwise Daniel would have finished P7. I think he would have been ahead of him. And also, the Daniel strategy was just kind of shit. But But yeah, Max, I think he didn't, what did he qualify?
Who?
Lance.
2 secs, Ted. 9, P9.
Yeah, I mean, that's to qualify 9th and finish 7th versus Daniel qualifying 5th and finishing 8th. You know, like much better. Okay, should we get to some of the questions?
Please.
You guys couldn't have been more spot on with chaos.
Thank you.
Oh, Lando got driver of the day.
Good, I voted for him.
You did? Okay, because someone wrote there were other drivers that deserved driver of the day more than Lando, but I'm trying to think of who that would be.
Basically as soon as Lando overtook the
Max.
2, I voted for him.
Yeah.
But I think there could be an argument made for George and potentially Lewis.
Yeah. Probably George over Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there wasn't like because of the rain there wasn't like I mean there were overtakes, but it wasn't like there was just someone carving through even I was surprised like I don't know, it was maybe halfway through the race and I'm like, we haven't heard Checo's name once. Like, where is Checo? I'm like, he's still in P6. I'm like, why is this guy not making any moves?
No moves. Until he hit the wall.
I know there are people who are like, these girls shit on Checo so much.
Yeah,
but
look.
like, and honestly, thank God
it's
for
the
Checo
drama of it
because
all.
he gives us so much content, and we like if we never had Checo, we would never have Checo.
Totally, and I respect his hustle. Like, I'm not here to disparage the man. It's just these are the facts of today. And I'm here to report on the facts of today.
Yeah. Now, next race, he could
win,
smoke everybody,
and I'll be thrilled for him.
Sure.
I'll respect that he's the winner.
Yes. I won't. You won't like write in a letter. No. Like what am I trying to say? Like when you
petition
contest.
Oh yeah, no, I won't contest his win.
Contest the result.
That's not for me to understand or.
How about Danny Rick? Great weekend for him. I would say it was a good weekend for him. I think he probably, in retrospect, would be like, I wish I had more from the rate. Like, given the starting position, I bet he wishes he'd probably done a little bit better. But I think there were a lot of factors out of his control.
And he stayed in the points.
And he got points. Yeah. And that's what really matters. It's his first time getting points in a race this season, which is because he got the points from the sprint. So I think for him to finish P8.
Did you have him this year? I mean, this week?
No, I had Lando.
Oh.
I think for him that was great. And someone said also, okay, do you remember, I think it was Saudi Arabia, Lando was like investigated for a false start and didn't get a penalty.
Yes.
So someone said Danny getting a 5-second penalty, but not Lando for the false start. I thought that was too like kind of strange. I mean, I just need to know more information about the false start.
Well, my thing, and I guess I don't know what the like the rules are on a false start, but if it's not the driver's error, what? No.
Well, I also just think I would like to know what the advantage was or what
there wasn't one.
What the problem I just need more information.
Yeah,
I just need more information. Oh yeah, Alex's double overtake. That was really good on Esteban and Daniel, like squeezing really in that space. But also I have to say too, like yes, it was great, but also good driving from Daniel and Esteban. I feel like other drivers they would have completely ran into each other. Like they all gave each other a lot of space to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like that always kind of goes not talked about when people talk about like good overtakes. It's like, well, the drivers also gave themselves like respect, which I thought was good.
We love respect.
We love respect. Haas at the start. Iconic.
It was very exciting.
It was.
I was so thrilled for them. And I knew it wouldn't last.
Yeah.
But I had Kevin this week. And so
that's true.
Like,
that's so
Kevin!
true. I forgot you had Kevin this week.
Yeah,
that's funny.
It turns out, didn't matter.
What was your reaction to both Ferraris being out and Daniel ending up in the points?
The same face Ollie Bierman made.
I mean, Ferrari, I don't feel, with certain drivers, I feel going into every race weekend, I feel like there's always drivers that I feel like need a result. And there's drivers who I feel like are fine. They had a result recently. They're okay. Ferrari is in that bucket for me where they had a great weekend last weekend. I don't feel like, of course, it'd be great if they did well, but I'm not like, oh God, it's just been hard for them this whole season. Blah, blah, blah. Daniel has been struggling and has had, he's had his ups and downs. And so he needed a good result. So I'm happy that it was Daniel that had success, and I'm okay that maybe Ferrari was.
I'm just always so shocked, and I know it comes with like different tracks and different weather and whatever, but to go from Monaco to Montreal, like it's just wild how quickly everything can change. Go badly.
Yep. Russell and Piastri, their little battle.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
It was fun.
It was fun.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I just think we've seen a lot more racing in the last few races than we have in a really long time, and it's nice.
Yes.
It's happy.
Someone said, love the Pirelli caps.
I like the white and red ones too. Yeah.
I thought those were good.
I actually wrote that down.
Someone said, no one's really talking about Mick in the seat chatter. Has he lost his shot?
Yeah.
Well, he's
Hasn't he?
slightly being talked about for Alpine. He's in the Alpine WEC. He races for Alpine in the WEC series, and so there's like some Alpine connection there. I know there's.
I didn't even know he was part of the conversation.
I know there's a lot of people who love Mick Schumacher, and I like him. I think he's like a nice person and like all that stuff. But it wasn't like I felt like he totally. I mean, he beat Nikita Mazepin, so congratulations there.
I mean, credit where credit's due. Look, Nikita Mazepin didn't beat anyone.
That's so true. But he really struggled against Kevin 2 seasons ago, whenever that was. And, he
crashed all the time.
Kevin's not really doing so hot. I don't know that he has proven himself to be someone
he's
that
not
needs
the one
to
who's
be
going
in
to just
Formula
get a
One.
personality seat.
Or even like he has done X, Y, and Z before. Mm-hmm. So therefore we know he has the potential, even if he's had a couple rough goes, there's nothing to kind of hang his hat on. So besides his name, so to speak. So I don't really see it happening. I think it's going to be Pierre and Jack Doohan. Honestly.
My boyfriend.
Yeah. And shout out to Jack. Bummer because he basically got one lap in FP1.
Yeah.
Tough.
But he might get a seat, so
that's
not
so
tough.
That's very true. And I don't know if Alpine's, the hot spot destination right now for drivers.
Well, they do have Travis and Patrick.
Yeah. But I would if we next season have Jack, we have Ollie, maybe we have Kimi Antonelli, we have Liam potentially. Like, that's going to be fun. That's going to keep things really, I would love that, to see that new fresh.
Can I say something not nice?
Of course.
I'm really glad that Patrick and Travis don't have to hang out with both Alpine team members anymore.
That is mean.
I know. That's why I prefaced it that way.
Well, we have to give Esteban, we do have to give him credit for wearing the Travis Kelce jersey.
I would never take away. Look.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we'll see Pierre. You know what sucks is I was looking at the Chiefs or the NFL schedule came out a few weeks ago, and I was, of course, as I always do, I look up the week before Austin because there's that break. Is there a Chiefs home game? They're on a bye that weekend. So, because we know that Lando, when Travis was in Miami, they met, and Lando talked to him about potentially coming to a game.
What about the Raiders in like Vegas? Is the season done by then? No,
the season's not done. But I don't know. I mean, you're saying you want the Chiefs to be playing the Raiders.
Well, if we want them to go see the Chiefs play, then they need to be having a race near where the Chiefs are playing, and Vegas is the only other place I could think of.
Or maybe the week after COTA.
Yeah.
Let's see what that looks like. COTA is on the 20th, I think, right?
Yeah. And honestly, like, I would much rather them be at Arrowhead, but if we can't be there, then...
Yeah, with Taylor.
Yeah, I know, but we can't go regardless. Well, like, we could go the week before, the week after.
Oh, we're gonna go to these games, is what you're saying.
Well, why wouldn't we?
Oh my gosh, wait, what weekend is Vegas? I mean, the race, F1 race.
For which one?
The Vegas race. When is the Vegas race?
Hold on, I'll have to Google it. 2 secs, Ted.
Oh wait, maybe they don't have. Oh, they play the weekend of the Austin race or Austin. Yeah. I'm all over the place, guys.
This is some fun dead air, huh, guys?
It's okay.
November 21st through the 23rd.
Okay, yeah. The Chiefs play. This is also not interesting for anyone that doesn't care about football. But the Chiefs.
No, it is if you're interested in Travis and Taylor and the potential of F1
the Chiefs
crossover.
Play in Vegas on October 27th, the weekend after Austin.
Well, that just did not line up correctly, did it?
No.
Okay,
but
well,
maybe they'll go. Maybe they'll go to Vegas for that weekend. You never know.
Yeah. So what did we say? They don't play after COTA, or they do?
But they go straight
weekend. They go straight to Mexico, don't they? After COTA?
Oh, is it the next week? Exactly.
I don't know.
I think you're right.
My calendar's on my phone, which is recording our faces right now.
a lot of people about Daniel's false start. Very confused. Didn't look like a false start. Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like, and he was confused too. And we go back to him, like I feel like he would. I don't think he would. Not that he's like lying, but like I feel like if he had a false start, he would
own up to
say it. And so,
and not when it's brought up, like, hey, you got to. And he's like, yeah, I was hoping they didn't catch it. Like I could see him doing so. He's not going to call it out.
Yeah,
first.
I don't know. I just
and also, Martin Brundle didn't see it.
Right. I mean, I guess my point is he's been racing for 14 seasons. Like you kind of know when you do something wrong and when you don't do something wrong.
Amen.
Also, they did this is last week, but they put out the F1 24 ratings.
Oh,
you know, and they like do that thing where they have the teammates like guess what they got for each, like for their race pace or whatever. And Daniel was telling Yuki, he was like, yeah, this is my 14th season. And Yuki was like, 14th? Like kind of like, damn,
Yuki
you're
just
old.
turned 14.
Like,
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah, he was 14 pretty recently.
He was.
Yuki was.
Sweet Ukes. Please, Jason. Actually, my dad and I were talking about what's the best Yuki quote. Is it, please, Jason, which is what he said to Jason Statham, asking him to come to a race. Or his second choice was when he told Pierre, I'll take that. When he said, I'll miss you for 2 minutes.
I think it's that one.
Yeah, because it's so
way more significant.
And the pause, it's the I'll take that pause. I'll take that.
It's like a rom-com.
It's that's exactly what I said. It is genuinely a rom-com. So anyway, okay. Should we get to our fan info?
Sure.
Would you like to share your fan or?
Yeah, I have two. They're both short though.
Okay, great.
Valtteri Bottas was back in Kansas, and I just we don't get. I mean, look, I know that we've had a lot of exciting time with Travis and Taylor and whatever. Kansas City's getting on the map, but
not like small town Kansas.
No, and I just think I don't have any stake in Emporia, Kansas, and like that the significance of that, but I just love that Valtteri Bottas comes here on purpose.
Yeah.
That's it. And then if anyone hasn't seen it, Tony Cohen Brown got to interview Charles and Carlos, I think in partnership with AWS. And she did the trend where she handed her phone to Carlos and was like, hey guys, can you watch Carlos while I, go get my notes or something? And it couldn't have gone better. Like he was just so confused. Hello?
What if he said, tell me we have it.
Tell me we have it. He's like, is anyone there? It was just brilliant. It was so funny. And I'm just grateful for her for putting that out because
it was great.
I would have never even thought of that. It was just perfect.
Yeah. My fan is non-F1 related, but it's motorsport related, which is that Jamie Chadwick got pole position in the Indy Next series this weekend, which she's the first woman to get pole in that series, I believe.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so congratulations to her. She's been killing it. She got her first podium a few weeks ago. So I don't know. I feel like her time is coming for a full-time IndyCar seat.
Looking forward to it.
And I would like to see it. Okay, your foe.
So it's silly season is upon us, right? And
we're in it.
Also, when you're on Twitter or Instagram, you can buy blue check marks now. And so I have this. I keep seeing these false
bad sources
confirmations.
Oh, okay.
And it's just the amount of due diligence you have to. I mean, it doesn't take long. You can pretty much immediately understand it's a fake source. But like I've seen that Carlos was confirmed at Williams, and that Ollie was confirmed at Haas, and all these things. And it's like, please don't do that.
Yeah.
Like I know we're all here for clicks and likes, but you're sharing a false narrative.
The misinformation, just in general, in just life,
it's like
ridiculous.
Your headline can still be clickable and read, Carlos is still like number one for Williams, or Carlos in talks with Williams. Like there's ways. Just stop lying to me.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean,
That's
as we know, we can just trust a handful of sources, and we just have to just trust those sources and go with God.
Yeah, and the blue check mark is no longer
doesn't
a way
mean
to
shit.
check. Well, I'm on Instagram. It doesn't. I think they're gold. Verified accounts are gold now on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever they call it.
My foe is that, so for the trophies this weekend, they were AI generated.
Which I don't know what that means.
I think they just were like designed by AI, basically. And AI
over it
has a lot of, I think there's certain benefits that AI provides, and I think there's ways in which it can be utilize to make improvements in our society and all these types of things. But I also hate when AI takes opportunities away from creative people.
Oh, good point.
And there are artists and designers out there who make these trophies, who spend time, who have ideas, who have a vision, who, you know, it comes from their mind and then they create it.
That's such a good point.
And I'm sure there's Canadian artists who would have loved the chance to like put their work to good use and to create these trophies. And I just don't love that they took that and just made an AI generated
That's such
trophy.
a good point. I literally had never thought about it like that. I'm just tired of people talking about AI. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, well, it goes back, you know,
so
that
true.
whole thing about the like AI influencer or like creator thing. Again, it's like there's a creator out there who wants to make that content, who has these ideas.
Totally. And that, I think, to me was more obvious because we are creators. I am not an artist.
Yeah.
And so I never thought about it through that
So
lens.
I just think, I mean, we always joke about the Hungary trophy and, you know, when Lando destroyed it and how long that took to make and whatever. But that genuinely is a piece of art that someone created and spent time on. And I think that, I don't know, maybe I'm just like one of those people who's like, protect art. But I think I just hate the conversation when people are like, you know, movies can be written by AI. I don't want a movie. I want a person to have an idea and then to create something. I don't want something to be like generated, you know?
Yep.
Okay. Our draft. So unfortunately, Hannah is walking away with no points this weekend.
Brilliant.
So let me just pull up the draft document. So Lando, how did he do? He got 10th he got second in qualifying, right? Or third. So that was be 8 points, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then he got second, which is 18. So that's 26 points. Yeah. Correct? Okay.
And then I don't know who got fastest lap.
Lewis.
Okay.
Okay. So that's that for Canada. And then so just some scheduling information. So Hannah's going on vacation and she'll be out the next 2 weekends. Mm-hmm. So next week we'll have a special guest for an episode. And then actually for the Spain race, I will be in Monterey with our good friend, she loves F1, Michaela, for the IndyCar race. And she and I will be doing the Spanish recap together. But I still think we should draw for Spain to have people to...
We should draw for both, right?
For both.
Have I lost my mind?
Oh, is it a double header?
Yeah.
Okay, then yes, we should draw for both. It's Austria after Spain, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So drawing. Now we haven't had any duplicates yet, have we? I don't think we have.
Did you get Daniel twice?
No, I've had Daniel once. You've had Daniel once. I don't think
so. I also came up with words for the next 2 races.
Oh, yeah. We'll go through that. Okay. So this is for España. Joe. Joe. Sorry. Not. Yeah. Thanks.
Did you? Oh. Excuse me.
Oh, should I put it back? Sorry. I put this back in.
I can't have him for this one.
Oh, we can do the same?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. I guess we never clarified that, but
I would say we shouldn't do that. That's not fun. Nico. Could be worse.
And yeah,
could be Joe.
There's potential there. I think he maybe at this point, George, Lewis, Max, Daniel, Fernando, Charles. Yeah, no, we still both have not. Oh, I've had Joe. Okay, so that was my second time having Joe. So now I cannot have him anymore.
That's good.
Yeah. All right.
Want to draw for the Red Bull ring?
Yes. Sorry, I'm just getting it ready.
You're fine.
Kevin.
Shoot. Sorry to hear that. Lando.
Nice.
That's the second time I've gotten Lando, I think.
No? Let's double check here. You've had George, Lewis, Max, Daniel, Fernando, Charles, Pierre. No, first time. I've had Lando.
Okay,
once.
maybe it's just because I wanted Lando to win.
All right, so there we go. Nico, Joe, Lando, Kevin. I'm sure that's going to go well for all of us.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything? Oh, words. Yes. So I actually haven't thought of. And what are we going to do for Austria?
So I wrote we could either is it Spielberg, Austria, or the Red Bull Ring? How's it referred in casual conversation?
You mean like what's the race called? I know, but we don't really.
But we would call it the Austria.
We call it the Austrian Grand Prix.
Yeah. Then we
have to go with A. Okay.
So I have, and then is it Barcelona or Spain? I do have words for both.
This is really tough. This is really hard. Okay, so what have we done? So we did Miami, we did Monaco, and we did
Montreal.
Canada.
Oh, we did do Canada.
We did Canada. So we're doing the generalized name of the of the race.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing. So I think we have to go with that going forward. So I think we have to do the Spanish Grand Prix. I think we have to do S.
Okay. Is that how we've done it?
Because we did.
Yeah, I'm just making
Grand
sure.
Prix, Monaco Grand Prix, Canadian Grand Prix.
Okay, great.
So for anyone out there who's gonna, I mean, I know it's not.
Okay, well, I have 2 words. I have one for each. So I'm just going to say both of them.
Okay.
Because that way I can give you guys, if you choose to do Barcelona instead of Spain, you've got something to work with. Bold.
Okay.
In Barcelona. And then sublime in Spain.
Sublime in Spain. I was going to say spicy in Spain.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I was going to say spicy in Spain.
That's fun. And, Carlos Hot Chili Pepper Signs, home race.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly what I want to have happen.
That's fun.
Okay, and then for Austria.
I had 2, but one sucks and I'm not going to use it again anymore. No. I mean, no. I put agile and then because I thought it was like fun sounding and then I was like, that's too much to keep track of.
Okay.
So I put ambitious.
Okay.
I think someone's going to like go crazy, like do something that they don't usually do.
Okay. And I didn't plan this.
I know, I'm sorry.
I got to look up adjectives that start with the letter A.
I did that as well. Adventurous, amazing, awe-inspiring. I'm going through the list in my head that I Googled earlier. Active.
Attractive.
Great.
Someone's going to show up looking hot.
I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that's true.
That's what I'm going to go with. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anything else from the race weekend? We kind of blew through all this stuff.
I don't believe there was. No.
Okay. So yeah, as I said, we have those 2 episodes coming up without Hannah, and then Hannah will be back and we'll be you know, back on track. I also just want to quickly selfishly plug something if I may. So for my actual day job, I basically, not that I need to give my whole work backstory, but I basically work for like a digital media company, and we're starting to launch some various YouTube channels, and we've launched a sports channel that I am kind of the host of, and I have a sports podcast show. I guess it's more of like a YouTube show with my cousin Kitley, who I don't know if people have actually been introduced to Kitley on this podcast.
Don't know.
He is the one who created our intro song.
True.
And he's just a great character.
He's a friend of the pod.
And he is like Hannah and I in terms of like just loves pop culture, is dialed in. He knows what's up.
Dialed in.
He's fun, funny, all these types of things. Anyway, we have a sports show where we talk about all different kinds of sports. We do episodes twice a month, and the last one we did, we talked about what did we talk about? We talked about tennis. We talked about Caitlin Clark. We talked about the NBA Finals. We talked about some other funny stuff that happened in the world of sports. Anyway, if you are a sports fan and you are looking for something to watch on YouTube, I will link the channel in the description of this video and in the like podcast notes as well and stuff. I would love for you guys to subscribe to the channel if you wouldn't mind. Watch it if you care about it. If someone you know in your life likes sports. Would mean a lot to me and us and help the show. So I think that's that on that. I feel like it's going to be weird not talking to you for 2 weeks.
I know. It's going to be a really long time. Oh God, my back, you guys. I'm 31. It starts to go downhill. No, but thank you in advance to Michaela and
I haven't announced it yet.
Yeah, I know. Our other friend who's going to fill in for me while I'm away. I'll miss you all dearly, but
it'll be good. I
need it.
Summertime. Yeah. There's going to be, times where we're off and on and things happen. So
yeah, I'm just grateful we have friends that allow us to maintain our schedule.
Exactly. I was going to say something else and then I forgot.
Okay.
It was about us
summertime race,
summer race.
Friends.
It doesn't matter.
It could. If it is, she'll put it on the stories for you.
Oh, make sure to watch tomorrow for the Canada Pyramid ranking.
Yes.
See who gets top of the pyramid. Could go lots of ways this weekend. We just don't know.
Too much chaos.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right, guys. We will see you next week. Enchante.
Enchante.